Today, we're going to talk about Chainlink against the US dollar and also against Bitcoin, so you guys know exactly what I'm watching from this market over the coming days and weeks. Now, before we get started, if you guys are enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also click that bell icon so you get notifications. Okay, so starting with the LINKUSD weekly time frame, I like to start on a higher time frame because it helps to give you some context to where the market has been over the last few years, which does help when you start to kind of drill down to the daily time frame, the 4-hour time frame, etc. So looking back at the last few years for LINKUSD, you can see that we have this ascending channel where we have 2 touches off of support, and we also have 3 touches off of resistance. Now, this is an equidistant channel, meaning that these levels run parallel to one another. So there's an equidistant distance between these 2 levels. Now, you'll immediately notice that this last drawdown doesn't appear to have tested channel support. Now, typically I would not be this picky about a level because I would say, well, there's a pretty good chance that this level could be drawn a little bit higher, in which case we did see Chainlink retest support recently. And there is a chance of that. However, the reason I'm being so picky about this is because if you'll notice, these highs up here and even the 2 lows, they tested channel resistance and support to the dollar. I mean, it was very, very close to the highs and lows of these candles. So remember, this is an equidistant channel. So if you draw the level right off of the highs up here and then right off of the lows back here, then Link has not tested channel support yet. And that could be significant because it could indicate that Chainlink needs to retest this area down here. Now, of course, we're going to have to see Bitcoin rotate quite a bit lower for us to see Link drop down into this area right around $16 or $17, maybe sometime in February or March. But given the fact that this market has been so sideways for the last 12 months, it's very, very possible. All right, so I would not count that out just because even though we are in an overall uptrend, the market has been sideways over the past year. Okay, so let's go ahead and drill down now to the daily time frame and get a sense for where Chainlink could be going here over the coming days. Okay, so when we look at this chart, what I like to do is take a horizontal level like this and then just start dragging it up and down to try to find areas where the market has found support or resistance there in the past. And I also like to start with the most obvious areas. So in this case, what I would do is I would look at this pivot back here. So you can see where we had support back here at this low and also this one here, and then the market broke below it and this became resistance. Now you can also see where Link recently broke back above that level and it became support once again. So we can say that the area right around $23 should be support if tested over the coming days, which you can see this week we're starting to get a little bit of a rotation lower. So $23 could come into play here later this week. Okay, so 23 is support. In the next obvious area, we know that today is rotating lower, so we can take this high up here and try to identify what is causing this. So if we look back here, you can see that we have this high on this candle. We then have support through here. The market broke back below it and it became resistance once again this week. So the area right around $28 to $29 is going to be resistance. And once again, $23 is going to be support. Now, if we did see Chainlink retest that channel support, okay, down here around $16 or $17, maybe sometime later next month, then we also have this horizontal level through here where the market found support here recently. Okay, so right around $17 to where if we were to get that retest, so this level down here is the channel support, that multi-year channel support, and you can see where we have a lot of lows through here as well. So this area right around $17 is going to be a confluence of support to where if we were to see the market rotate lower, I would expect to see a lot of demand develop right down here in this area, right around $17. Okay, so right now 23 is support, immediate support, resistance up around 28 to 29, and support below 23 is going to be around $17. Now, in order for Chainlink to really break out of the sideways action, it's going to take a first higher high. So you can see this high back here. We then had this one and also this one. This was barely higher than the one back here. However, notice that the market never did close above this high. Okay, it never did close above that. So this up here is going to be resistance right around $36. So in order for Link to break out from this sideways action and continue higher, we would need to see a close above $36. So it's going to take a close above this area up here for us to say that Link is likely to continue the uptrend that we saw last year, okay, to really get out of this sideways action. So until Link gets above $36, then like I've been saying with a lot of the other markets, I think it makes sense to really play the range here instead of looking for those home runs. So it's a very different market environment this year than what we saw in 2021. And as far as Link is concerned, just like with Bitcoin, we've seen this market really ever since the start of 2021 just go sideways. We have seen some nice moves here, but all in all, at the end of the day, the market is still just very sideways. So let's go ahead and take a look at Link against Bitcoin now to see which one is likely to outperform here over the coming days and weeks. All right, so looking at LINKBTC, this is a great example of why you have to be careful using trend lines to play breakdowns or even break ups from a market. And if you notice here over the past few years, so there's a trend line off of this low down here in 2017. And this was a very well-worn trend line. So you can see that we had this low down here. All right, so we had the low down here in the market, and then we had several touches off of this trend line. And then we had the breakdown. Now, if you had played this breakdown, yes, you could have sold and made quite a bit here, but we didn't see a rotation of this entire uptrend because a lot of people look at a trend line like this and they say, okay, if you get a breakdown here, then the market is likely to just erase most of this. And that's not the case because once we saw the breakdown, we saw a move lower, but since that time, this market has just been going sideways. Now, to me, this is an indication that we are likely to see at some point a continuation of the uptrend. Because again, we haven't seen a lot of weakness from this market once it broke this uptrend back here. We didn't just see it rotate lower, instead we've seen it go sideways. Okay, so looking here at the 3-day chart. Now, this is our trend line right here that broke down. And if you'll notice, we do have a trend line off of the all-time high up here for LINKBTC. And that is what is triggering this week's rotation lower. Okay, so this is the reason we're seeing Link rotate a little bit lower this week and start to really underperform Bitcoin because this market has come into some resistance based on that trend line off of the all-time high. Now, if you'll notice down here too, we do have, and again, look for the obvious areas in the market to draw your levels. We have two lows back here. So clearly this is going to be a critical support area for LINKBTC. All right, so could we see a rotation back to this level? Of course, we just saw it really late last year down here toward this area. So with the market hitting resistance now, it's just a matter of, do we get a market that breaks out from here? So rotates a little bit lower and then breaks out? Or are we looking at a move all the way back down here to support, in which case we could see Bitcoin really start to outperform Chainlink? Because remember, this is LINKBTC. So if this chart is moving lower, it means that Link is underperforming Bitcoin. And before we go on, guys, I do want to say if you are enjoying this content, be sure to smash that like button because it tells me that you're enjoying the content and it also tells YouTube that you're enjoying it as well. And I really appreciate it when you guys do that. All right, so hit that like button to let me know that you love this content. All right, so looking at this chart again, if we do see a move down there, another thing to keep in mind, if we look at the daily chart, you can see that off of this trend line up, or off of this high up here, we have another trend line off of some of these highs that does intersect with that horizontal support. Okay, so if we saw a retest of this area sometime in late February, maybe March, then this is going to be a confluence of support down here. Now, this does not mean that LINKBTC is going to move this low. Like I said, this could be a case where we get a move lower and then a breakout from this trend line. But as long as the market is below this resistance up here, we have to at least respect the fact that the market could come down here and retest that confluence of support. Okay, so all in all, I would expect for Link to underperform Bitcoin for the next at least maybe week or two. Okay, now again, if we did see a retest of this area down here, this confluence of support, we could very well see Link underperform Bitcoin for really the next maybe 6 or 7 weeks if we did get a retest down there. So keep that in mind, that if you're looking to buy Link right now, it might not be the best time just because we have seen a big run up here recently. All right, so the best time to buy Link, especially against Bitcoin, was down here at support. Okay, so down here around this level, or even on this breakout from this trend line. But right now, given the fact that the market is sitting right at resistance, it's a little bit dicey. We could see that rotation lower where Link does start to underperform Bitcoin. So what that also means when we look at LINKUSD, okay, so going back to this chart, what it means is that if we do see Bitcoin weaken, okay, whether it's from that $45,000 area that I've been talking about, $45,000 to $46,000, if we did see another rotation lower from Bitcoin, then we could very well see Link come back down to 23, potentially even break below that, and really test this area here over the next month or so. Okay, so this area right around $17 could come into play, and that's just based on if we saw a rotation lower from Bitcoin, then LINKBTC is also looking pretty weak, okay? So it all depends on what Bitcoin does here, guys. I've talked about it before. That area right around $45,600 is going to be critical. It's all going to hinge on that area, and then also $53,000. So we'll see how this unfolds, but right now, like I said, I would, be cautious about buying Link just because the LINKBTC chart is coming off of resistance after a big run up. That said, this area around 23 is going to be support. Below that is 17. If we got to move down towards 17, then I would be a buyer here because, as I said before, this is going to be a massive support area based on the weekly time frame that we looked at. Okay, so remember, the weekly chart and this horizontal level makes the $17 area a massive confluence of support. And like I said before too, Link would have to get back above this $36 area to really break out from the sideways movement. So as long as Link is below that, guys, just be a little bit careful. There's a good chance we get a retest of 23 here, potentially this week. And anything below that, we could very well see Link rotate lower toward that $17 area over the next few weeks. But it's all going to depend on what Bitcoin does. Can it break out from $45,000 to $46,000? If so, and we see Bitcoin move toward 53, then this chart is also going to benefit from that, in which case we could very well see Link break above that $29 area and also head up toward $36. Okay, guys, so I hope that this video has helped. Again, if you enjoyed it, subscribe, hit the like button, and also leave your comment below, and I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.